Hi.
Hello.
My cousin's here. Say hi.
Hello.
She's here for emotional support
Mm-hmm.
because I'm sure I titled it correctly. So I guess we could just jump right in. Like what the fuck? I went to the psych ward in early February.
Unexpectedly.
Unexpectedly, it all happened very, very quickly. And to start with that, we have to start at the beginning, unfortunately. I just ended my sophomore year of college, but in the beginning of my sophomore year of college, I fell into a deep, deep, dark depression. It was really, really bad. Like, really bad.
The first 6 months was not real.
Yeah, it was not real. We'll get there for sure. But yeah, it was just not a vibe. I was not having fun. School was not fun. Just like everything was not fun. I was also running a club at that point. I was president of a club. Um, and I was running it with some friends, and my depression literally got so bad to the point where one day we were having a meeting, and my friend was telling me something about like an activity or something that we should do for the club, and I literally looked at her and I was like, "What? Like, what the fuck are you saying?" And she thought it was like me being snappy. Later on, she told me that, but it was literally just like that day and in that moment I was so depressed that like it was literally like hard for me to intake information and like make a response. It was so bad that like I could like barely understand English. So it was like I was literally like walking around. I was like, "Am I in a fucking different dimension? Like, what's going on?" That was not fun, obviously. But lucky for me, later that year, I think it was after the winter finals, I got put on medication.
Oh,
And I started medication. I started with this psychiatrist that I was seeing, and we'd meet once a week. Yeah.
it was during my ventures.
Yeah, it was during her
Yeah.
adventures. Yeah, I started seeing a psychiatrist, and she was so, oh my god, like, oh my god, literally psychiatrist sent from hell. I was like, what did I do to deserve this? Like, this is comedic at this point. But wait, it gets funnier for y'all, but it wasn't funny to me at that point at all. Like, it was not funny. But I was on medication and for depression and OCD, so I was seeing her once a week, and every week we'd meet on Sundays, and by that point she would give me a 14-day supply, so I had 2 weeks until she would start renewing my scripts and putting me up on a higher dose of the medication that I was on. There was this one time she canceled one of our appointments, so I had to meet her the following week. So by the time I met with her, it had already been 14 days and my medication was up. And she likes to do this really fun thing where she sent her scripts out super late, and I'd consistently have to like call and text her to make sure that she sent it out to my fucking pharmacy multiple times. Yeah. So by the time I already met with her, I was like, I'm out of the fucking medication you gave me. So can we fix that? And she was like, okay, okay, okay. And then she didn't send out the medication. So flash forward, almost a week had passed by. It was now like Thursday, like early February. So I was on the medication for like a month and some change, like almost 3 months at that point. So with medication, especially SSRIs, you can't really go cold turkey. So I had already gone almost a week without medication, and of course, the bitch was sending her scripts out late as usual. So I was having a therapy session, as one does with her therapist, and I told her all of this, and I also told her some other alarming details of ideations I was having, and it was just not fun for me. I was telling her that like when I was riding the bus home the day before, I seriously thought about like walking off and running into traffic and a bunch of other stuff. So really not fun, right? And also at the time I was, you know, little Mary Jane here and there. But at that point I wasn't really partaking for recreational use. In the back of my mind, I was hoping that I wouldn't wake up the next day. So I told her all of this, and she was like, either you go to the ER, urgent care, or I'm gonna call them to get you so that you can get your scripts refilled. So she essentially was like, hey, you have to call your mom and tell her to pick you up from school, because I was on campus while I was having my therapy session. I was like in a little corner of the library, very cute, very studious. She was like, hey, call your mom to pick you up, and I'll call your dad and tell him what's going on. Because my whole thing was like, okay, like I guess I'm going to the ER, but like my dad's gonna tweak. Like, what do you mean? Like, they're all like very blindsided to this. They don't really know what's going on, right? And she's like, it's okay, I'll handle it, I'll talk to him. Lo and behold, my mommy picked me up from school and drove me to the hospital and they admitted me essentially. They did let me bring in my mom's beanie, so I got to sleep with that every single night. The like trip itself, I was there for like Thursday night I got admitted, Monday morning, the following Monday I got out. So it was not too bad. It was like a little more or a little less than 72 hours, which is pretty standard if you're coming in voluntarily. They essentially were like, just so you know, you can opt out at any time, but you do have to stay the whole 72 hours. So I was like, I guess I'm staying 72 hours? Like, I don't know. So I went into the ward. They gave me a fucking napkin to wear, and then they gave me like fucking 2-ply sheet of toilet paper to use as a blanket. And mind you, it was like early February in the middle of winter. And this was during the time that we had a bunch of blizzards and shit going on, and it was super windy. So every night when I went to sleep, I was literally shaking. I would shake myself to sleep. And it was like not a vibe. Nights were not good, but mornings were low key worse because they'd wake you up every morning at 6 a.m. for vitals. And then you have to wait 2 hours, I think it was, to be able to call like friends and family. And you better hope you have their numbers memorized because they don't let you look it up. And you're not allowed to bring any devices in there. So I didn't have my mom's number memorized, but I had my dad's number memorized. And that's literally the first thing I did the morning of was call him when it was like appropriate time to call family members. And I called him and I was like, give me my mommy's number right fucking now. And I had a Crayola like marker and I was writing it down on my arm. So it definitely felt like, I don't know, it felt like I was in prison, but it was also, sometimes I miss it. Sometimes I do miss it. Sometimes when I'm like, oh, I'm so busy and it would be so nice to just like go and have everything taken care of for you. But then I remind myself that like you weren't allowed to like bring puzzles into your room. You couldn't bring newspapers into your room. Like we had one clock in that entire place and it was in the common area and it was wrong. So we didn't actually know what time it was ever. And our rooms, they had windows, but they were very like marbled glass so you couldn't see outside, and they didn't have curtains, so it would get really really cold at night, and then the windows would get even colder, so it would like make your room into a freezer. So I was essentially raw chicken for like 72 hours. So that was really fun. And then I literally got so bored at one point that I like taught myself how to do a handstand again in my bathroom. And I was really lucky that I had my own room for that time because everybody else has like roommates that they share a room with. And when I tell you, some of those people were tweakers, like real deal tweakers. Like, I'm not saying it as an insult, I'm saying it as like a definition of who they were. Like, you see a person, if it walks and talks and acts like a duck, what do we think? You know what I mean? Like, but a lot of people in there were really nice. It was actually most of the people I got along with really well, and it was nice to have like a community of people that were all dealing with like their own shit. Obviously there were a lot of bad sides to being in the psych ward, but there were also a lot of good sides too. Like, you had community, and I remember going to like AA meetings. I'm not an alcoholic by any sort, but like they were like, hey, you can come in even if you're not addicted to anything and just like come in and sit and talk and like hear other people's stories, and it was really grounding. And I feel like everyone should go to AA at least once and kind of just see how like other people live and kind of remind yourself that like, yeah, everyone benefits from it, and it's also just an experience that like takes you out of your own issues and helps you practice empathy a lot more and to kind of get out of your own head and not everything is like about you know? So that was really nice and it was also just very like non-judgmental. Like I don't think I've ever been in a space in my entire life that was as non-judgmental as it was in the AA meetings
No,
in
you
the
go to
psych
an
ward.
AA meeting like drunk and you're like,
Yeah,
yeah,
nobody's
me.
yeah. But yeah, it was definitely there were a lot of moments that were really great. Their food was smack, bro. It was so good. I had pancakes every morning and I had pizza at lunch and dinner. And they'd give me soda in the morning, bro. They'd literally give me Diet Coke in the morning. They let me choose to drink Diet Coke in the morning. It was lit. But that's the kind of things you get excited about in the psych ward. Like I had friends in there that like we got accustomed to each other. We'd hang out and we'd literally we'd literally talk about the most like mundane shit ever. And we'd literally be like, oh my god, maybe later, like later when everybody's asleep, maybe one of the nurses will let us put on a movie in the common room and we can watch it. And we genuinely get excited about shit like that. Be like, oh, we were nice today. We were really good today. Like, we indulged and we talked a lot. And, like, I think the nurses like us right now. Like, let's ask them if we could get more snacks. Like, shit like that. And it was like, sometimes it was really like ego sucking because it was like, whoa, like no way I'm getting excited about getting to watch Frozen at 9 p.m. And then on the outside world, I could literally be like doing whatever the fuck I want, right? But I think that I really feel like everyone should at least be in a situation similar to the psych ward, if not in the psych ward themselves. Because I do feel like it teaches you a lot of things, as traumatic as it was for me. Because let me tell you, like, it all sounds sweet and shit when I like reminisce about it, but trust and believe I was literally crying every single day. And my parents would literally visit me twice in one day. Like my mom would come in the mornings to see me and then come in the afternoons when they had visiting hours. She'd bring me books and stuff. She literally brought me my statistics notebook because I asked her to bring it in because I was so fucking bored. I was like, I may as well do some statistics. And I read that shit. I read it and I finished it. And I read so many books in there. It was pretty nice because, like, especially when you have your room to yourself, I would literally just like sit in bed and fucking journal for hours or read for hours. I still have the journal that I had in the psych ward. It's literally filled front to back for like 50 pages, and I need to find it so that I can read some of the excerpts out because it was like harrowing. Like, literally, my entire experience in that ward was like everything that would happen, I would be like, fuck, I need to go write this down right now because I can't forget it. Like, there's no way I can forget that shit. Like, I need to keep it in some place so that I can look back on it so I don't have to like harbor the burden of having to constantly remind myself to remember it, if that makes sense. But shit, girl, there's nothing else to do in there. I was like, it's either that or I like smack my head against the wall. So I ended up getting out. My mommy picked me up, and I think like a day or so passed by. Obviously, my family was being very nice to me, very kind. It was great. But it was also very kind of like tumultuous to get used to like life again. Even though I was only in there for like give or take 72 hours, like the sun hurt my eyes and it was like hard to like stand outside, and like we had to put curtains down for like a day or two after I left because it was just a lot. Like it was so overstimulating, and also like having to talk so much and like go back to school and stuff. It was kind of difficult because it was just so like, okay, like I need to get back to doing everything on my own and not having everything like taken care of me for the most part. And then I wish I could say that life got better after I left the psych ward. It did in some ways and then it didn't in other ways. So it was definitely like, but one of those examples, I can't share too much about what happened afterwards because like the ops are watching, like literally, like they're listening, they're in the walls. But I do remember this one instance. I think it was like a day or two after I left the psych ward, and I was arguing with my mom because I was like, I don't even remember what I was fucking arguing about. But she brought up the fact that she cleaned my room when I left the psych ward, when I was in the psych ward, because she wanted me to come back to a clean room. And lo and behold, what did she find? Um, my my nighttime toy. And I didn't tell her this, but she did find it. And she like brought it up to use in an argument to kind of like guilt trip me, I think, or like make me fall back on trying to like interrogate her about whatever I was interrogating her about. But at that time I was just like, fuck it, like what am I gonna say? Like I'm holding it for a friend. You know what I mean? I was like, yeah, I used it. Like, yeah, it's mine. And she was like, where'd you buy it? And I was like, Target. It was she was like, did you use it? I was like, yeah. Like, yeah, like consistently before I went to the psych ward, and I missed it like when I was there, you know? And when I came back home, that was the first thing I looked for, and lo and behold, it was gone. Cause she threw it out. So, um but I was talking to her about it, and it literally like I hadn't gotten into an argument with my parents or my mom specifically since I uh was admitted into the psych ward, because right before I was admitted, the day before, I had an argument with my mom because she found out that I was partaking, right? And I told her that I was doing so not for fun, but because of, you know, like I was just not interested in continuing my investment in life, right? So obviously, when we had that conversation before I left the psych ward, I was in tears, I was crying, yada yada yada. It was a big emotional thing, right? And then when I came back from the psych ward, we were having that argument of her finding my my friend, right? I started crying because I was like, "There's no way we're gonna argue again." Like I just got back, and in my head, the psych ward was supposed to be like a refresh, and it was supposed to like reboot everything, but it didn't, and life actually got way harder after I left the psych ward. But that was just one of the examples, and she was just like shocked. She was like, why are you crying? Like, what did I say? Like, because she was just like asking me questions, because in the culture she grew up in, it's very like taboo to use certain devices, right? And it's very much like reserved for a specific type of relationship that you have with somebody else that you plan to be with for the rest of your life, etc., etc. Like a lot of purity culture bullshit, right? Which is like how she was raised, and she was just thinking of it so strange and odd that like I was partaking in something that she had never even thought was a possibility, right? So she was definitely like, what the heck, like what's going on, like essentially trying to just like understand where my head was at, because to her this was a foreign concept, and I was just like so just like flabbergasted, just like so exhausted, so tired. Like I haven't argued in a while, like I was barely like talking a lot in the psych ward, like aside from very mundane, very surface level conversations. So I started crying, obviously. Like what else are you gonna do, right? She was very confused. She was like, I don't know what to do. Like I'm sorry. Like we won't talk about it. Like yada yada yada. And my dad came home at that same time because I was asking for him. Like before he came home, I was like, where is he? Like I want my dad. And he walks in from work. Poor guy. He's been working all day. He comes home. His daughter just came home from the psych ward, and she's crying again. He's like obviously very confused. Like both of my parents at this point are very confused for different but like also similar reasons, right? And I'm also fucking confused. I'm also like crying here, being like, I don't know why I'm crying, but like I need to cry, I think. Like my body's like kind of exerting this emotion that just like it needs to come out, you know? It's like when you don't take a shit for a long time and your body is like literally telling you like you need to take a shit right now, or there's going to be problems. Like there's going to be very massive problems. So I took my shit emotionally. Like what was I supposed to do? Like I can't hold it in. I would self. So like yeah, that happened. My dad was actually very helpful. He's gotten very very good at like consoling us emotionally.
Like, who's telling me to shit right now? My body's really telling me I gotta go to the bathroom and shit. Who is you? Who is you to tell me to shit? Why am I going to shit? I'm going to the toilet? Just to shit? No. I'm gonna hold that bitch in.
That was one of the most like prominent memories that I have looking back on stuff that happened after I left the psych ward. And it was very like what the frick, you know what I mean? It was also like just truly very confusing for everyone involved. And it was just not a fun time. And then on top of that, I was mourning the loss of my vibrator. I had two. Both of them were gone.
She found both of them?
She found both of them and both of them were gone. She threw them out. They were so expensive. They're not cheap. Like the good ones are not cheap. Yeah, the good ones are not cheap, bro. So I was literally like, dude, when I tell you, I lost my cart, my two vibrators, and my dignity all in the same like week span. And then I lost my freedom for a good couple days. God forbid a girl cries about it. You know what I mean? Like it was a lot. And I lost my phone. They tested me. Like it was like it was a whole thing. So it was like okay, so that thing is about so like I have OCD, right? I'm a little okay, some wires are crossed, okay? It just happens, you know? So I got in a really bad habit of looking up over and over and over again the amount of time it takes certain substances to leave your body. And I showed my cousin, I showed her all of the I literally showed her all of the search histories. It's miles long. I guarantee you it was literally like whenever I go on Google now and I search up like I start something with a question, it will literally complete the sentence for me.
No, I can confirm.
Yeah, like it will literally complete the sentence for me with like how long does da 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 stay in your system? How long does da 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 will I be good for this certain drug test if I stay sober for this? Like it was like a whole thing. You have to be here when you tell it.
No, I'm too paranoid.
Okay, okay. No problem, no problem. But she did live with me for a month, but that was separate issue. Separate issue, separate time, separate topic to discuss, right?
Okay, the first 6 months was not
Oh my The first 6 months of 2026, when I tell you, me and my cousin, were both sitting on my bed, like borderline in tears, crying, and literally being like, should we call a psychic? Like, should we hire a tarot card reader? Like, what's going on? Like, there's no way. So many bad things are happening all at once. Mind you, it's all our poor decision making skills, right? We're literally sitting being like trying to drop a plan to be like, who do we ask? Who do we bring into our circle, our inner circle, to gain knowledge into why we are being mistreated in this sense so early in the year? We were like, what is going on? Like, is Mercury in retrograde? Did somebody fucking blow up Jupiter? Like, what's going on? And why is it affecting me so deeply? I am not exaggerating. If you know me personally and you're watching this, you know I'm not exaggerating. Like, the first 5 to 6 months of this year were the worst months I have ever experienced in my entire life. In my entire life, bro. Like, I swear. It was so bad. At one point, I was genuinely being like, should I go back to the psych ward? Like, at least I had like no responsibilities there. You know what I mean? At least I had no contact to like Hinge or like something like evil. Like I was like, should I just like go like and sit in a fucking hole that's dug 12 feet under and leave myself there until I see a vision from God to tell me to delete Hinge off my phone? Like, I don't even know. Like, I was like, what is going on? And it was just our decision making that was like so off grid. And we were like, why is this happening to us? So that's it, because this is already 40 minutes long and this is going to be really awful to edit. So thank you so much for listening if you got this far. Yeah, that's it. Bye. Say bye.
Hasta la vista.
Bye.